Hello and welcome to NDTV 24/7. I'm Rohit Wellington. Let's begin with our top story. Prime Minister Modi met with the political leaders from Jammu and Kashmir for over 3 hours at his residence on Thursday. At the meeting, he spoke of removing Dilli ki Doori as well as Dil ki Doori. The meeting was attended by 14 political leaders from 8 parties. Prime Minister Modi, sources say, said that statehood would be restored at an appropriate time, but urged the parties to get on board with delimitation or the redrawing of assembly constituencies to enable elections. Prime Minister said that delimitation has to happen so that polls can happen in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, Prime Minister tweeted that our priority is to strengthen grassroots democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. Delimitation has to happen at a quick pace so that polls can happen and Jammu and Kashmir gets an elected government that gives strength to Jammu and Kashmir's development trajectory. And Home Minister Amit Shah tweeted that we are committed to ensure all-round development of Jammu and Kashmir. The future of Jammu and Kashmir was discussed, and the delimitation exercise and peaceful elections are important milestones in restoring statehood as promised in Parliament.
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि जम्मू कश्मीर में लोकतांत्रिक प्रक्रिया से जुड़े अगले महत्वपूर्ण कदम यानी विधानसभा चुनाव की तरफ हमें मिलकर जाना है। इसके लिए डीलिमिटेशन की प्रक्रिया को तेजी से पूरा करना होगा ताकि हर क्षेत्र, हर वर्ग को पर्याप्त राजनीतिक प्रतिनिधित्व विधानसभा में प्राप्त हो सके।
Meanwhile, National Conference leader Omar Abdullah asked why is Jammu and Kashmir being singled out for delimitation. He also said that the Kashmiri leaders want full statehood restored. PDP leader Mehbooba Mufti said that they would struggle peacefully for restoration of Article 370.
One of the significant sort of announcements appears to have been this commitment to restoring statehood. Tell us a little bit about that. What exactly was said, and do you see that as an important first step?
Well, the Home Minister reiterated, as he said, his commitment that was made to Parliament and subsequently as well, and that was again reinforced by the Prime Minister, that Jammu and Kashmir has to be given statehood. The point that some of the people who spoke made was that it has to be complete statehood. It can't be a truncated state.
Right.
It cannot be a state which is further stripped of powers. Jammu and Kashmir will have to be a state like West Bengal is, or like Maharashtra is, or Madhya Pradesh is.
Right.
And one of the points that was made, and made quite forcefully, is that Jammu and Kashmir must have its cadre restored to it. If
Right.
Jammu and Kashmir is a state, then why should its officers come from the UT cadre or any of those other sort of setups? J&K traditionally had a J&K cadre in the IAS and IAPS and elsewhere, and that cadre should be restored.
Constitutionally, democratically, peacefully struggle करेंगे, चाहे महीने लग जाए या साल लग जाए, हम जम्मू कश्मीर में 370 बहाल करेंगे, क्योंकि ये हमारी आइडेंटिटी की बात है। ये हमें पाकिस्तान से नहीं मिला था, ये हमारे मुल्क हिंदुस्तान ने, जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने, इसमें कोई कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं होगा। इसके अलावा हमने कहा कि आप चाइना के साथ बात कर रहे हैं, मैंने उनको कॉम्प्लीमेंट किया, आपने पाकिस्तान से बात की, इन्फिल्ट्रेशन कम हुई, बहुत अच्छी बात है। और जम्मू कश्मीर में जो सख्ती है, जो पकड़ दकड़ है, जो मारपीट का माहौल है, जिस तरह से भी बात की नहीं होती है तो उसको UAPA लगाया जाता है।
The other big story is coronavirus. There are 3 signs of concern which have shown up on Thursday, but with the caveat that it is too early to say that these trends will continue. The percentage change in cases in the last 2 days has been the highest since the peak of the second wave on the 7th of May. Maharashtra trend of average daily cases has risen for the very first time since the second wave decline began 56 days ago. And Delhi is the only major state or union territory which has seen a rise in the last 1 week in the 7-day moving average compared to a week ago. The change is only 10 cases more than the previous week, but noteworthy.
Mumbai has plans to open up gradually, but those plans may have to be put on hold because Maharashtra reported a spike in the number of COVID cases on Wednesday. The evening traffic you see behind me will give you an idea of the volumes the city has to deal with even when restrictions are in place, and how difficult containment can be when cases begin to spread. And the emergence of a new variant is adding to those worries.
This is Dadar in Mumbai, one of the most crowded areas, and even with restrictions in place, crowds are normal. But this is a worry because for the first time, Maharashtra's average daily cases have seen an uptick since end April, when the second wave cases started declining. The average daily cases had touched a low of 8,847 on Tuesday, but stayed above the 8,900 mark for the last 2 days. As a result, Maharashtra may delay its unlocking plan, especially in Mumbai, where local trains, the city's lifeline, malls and restaurants are still closed. And the Delta Plus variant is the big new worry, which the state cabinet discussed on Wednesday. At 21, Maharashtra has the highest number of Delta Plus variant cases in India.
वैक्सीनेशन जब तक 70-80% लोगों को नहीं हो जाएगा, रिस्क नहीं लिया जा सकता। आज भी जिस तरह से ओपन अप किया गया है, जो लेवल बनाए गए हैं, लेवल में भले ही हम लोग नीचे हों, फिर कुछ एडिशनल रिस्ट्रिक्शन रखा गया, जिसकी वजह ही ये है कि यहाँ पे फ्लोटिंग पॉपुलेशन बड़े पैमाने पे आता है।
So what should one look out for this variant or any other symptom associated? Basically, symptomology is not going to change. Only thing to look out for is to present early.
Mumbai saw a jump in the test positivity rate as well, with 863 new cases on Wednesday. While there were more tests conducted, the city is still holding back when it comes to relaxing restrictions. The centre has asked Maharashtra to be alert when it comes to the Delta Plus variant. The Delta variant had caused havoc during the second wave, and the Delta Plus variant is a further mutation which could be even more virulent, transmissible, or both.
The devastating impact of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic is perhaps an indicator of what the third wave could bring, especially if the virus is more virulent and more transmissible because of mutation. In such a situation, the government believes a cautious approach would be the best way forward, which is why it's in favor of keeping restrictions in place just for a while longer. And this has been discussed in the cabinet as well, especially when there's a debate between life and livelihood. The cautious approach, the government believes, could perhaps reduce the impact of the predicted third wave. In Mumbai, with camera person Sanjay Mandal, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
The vaccine fraud in Kolkata has turned murky. Vaccines given at not one but 3 vaccination camps were fake. Not Covishield or Covaxin, but an antibacterial called amikacin. At least that's what Kolkata police found stocks of at the alleged fraudster's office.
Dibanjan Deb wanted to be an IAS officer, never made it, so took a shortcut. But what seemed to be a bizarre lark is now turning into a dangerous scam. Those vaccinated at camps he held, posing as an IAS officer and top brass of Kolkata Municipal Corporation, did not get anti-COVID jabs. Not even Trinamool MP Mimi Chakraborty, who was chief guest at the Tuesday camp.
আর আমি ভ্যাকসিনেশন নেওয়ার পরই আমার খটকাটা লাগে যে আমার কোনো মেসেজ আসে না। এবার আমার মেসেজ আসে না, আমি বলছি চলে আসবে হয়তো, আমি বললাম যে আমার সার্টিফিকেটটা। আই ইমিডিয়েটলি স্টপ দ্য এন্টায়ার থিং। আমি বুঝতে পারি যে পুরো জিনিসটা একটা ভুল দিকে যাচ্ছে থিং, অ্যান্ড আমি প্রশাসনের সাহায্যে ইমিডিয়েটলি পুলিশের সাহায্যে তাকে অ্যারেস্ট করিয়ে দিই।
Kolkata police have confirmed the seizure from the fraudster's office of several vials of an antibacterial injection used apparently for urinary tract infections. Police also recovered fake Covishield labels which were pasted on those vials. Kolkata Corporation's chairman says all victims will be given genuine jabs, but politics has reared its head.
আপনারা ভাবছেন যে কেউ খোঁজ নেয়নি? সব খোঁজ নেওয়া আছে, সব জানা আছে। এতদিন অন্যান্য বিষয়ে সিন্ডিকেট চলতো, এখন ভ্যাকসিনের সিন্ডিকেট চলছে। তো এটা পুরো সাজানো, পুরো পার্টির লোকে যুক্ত আছে, এটা একটা পুরো সিন্ডিকেট চলছে, কালোবাজারি চলছে ভ্যাকসিন নিয়ে।
উদ্দেশ্যটা কি? হঠাৎ করে উনি নিজের টাকা খরচা করে ভ্যাকসিনেশন ক্যাম্প করতেই বা গেলেন কেন? এগুলো সব পুলিশ ইনকোয়ারি করছে। দেখি যেটা দরকার হবে, যদি ভ্যাকসিনেশন শিওর থাকে তাহলে তাদের একটা রেজিস্ট্রেশনের ব্যবস্থা করতে হবে। আর যদি ভ্যাকসিনেশন ভুয়ো হয় তাহলে তাদের আবার ভ্যাকসিন করতে হবে।
The municipal corporation is probing loopholes, if any, in its system of permitting NGOs to vaccinate. Police say their find today could be the tip of an iceberg. Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
Increasing water levels in the Ganga River in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj town has thrown up a challenge for authorities. How to deal with bodies buried in shallow graves that are coming unstuck.
As water levels rise in the Ganga River with the advancing monsoon, a fresh headache in UP's Prayagraj. Multiple bodies buried in shallow graves by the river, many of them allegedly during UP's devastating second COVID wave in April and May, are coming unstuck as the sand erodes in the rain. Some are now even floating in the river. One such body was found with a tube in the mouth.
नली लगी हुई थी कि एक बीमार आदमी था कोई, उसके परिवार वाले जैसे अपना वो पीछा छुड़ाने के लिए अपना यहाँ ऐसे तैसे छोड़ छाड़ के चले गए, नहीं तो भाई अब उनको अपने सौ से अपने परिजन से भय हो गया, क्या था अब हम तो बता नहीं पाएंगे.
Images like these from Prayagraj and other UP towns by the Ganga had made international headlines in April and May. The Yogi Adityanath government denied these bodies were of unaccounted COVID victims and claimed burying bodies by the river is a UP tradition.
कटान में जहाँ भी ऐसी चीजें दिखाई पड़ रही हैं, निगम स्वयं निगम के वहाँ के जो जोनल अधिकारी हैं वो मैंने भी कुछ जगह पे दाह संस्कार किया है.
For now, Prayagraj officials say the focus is to cremate bodies getting exposed in the rains. With Nitin Gupta in Prayagraj, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
An alleged case of dowry death has shocked the state of Kerala. 24-year-old woman was found dead at her husband's home. The husband has now been arrested and booked for dowry death. Sneha Koshi reports.
A fun wedding photo shoot with laughter and smiles shattered within a year. 24-year-old Vismaya was found dead early on Monday at her home in Kollam. Her husband and in-laws were reportedly in the house when she died. Vismaya's family alleges murder. Suspects the Ayurvedic medicine student died because of alleged dowry harassment and physical assault. Her husband, Kiran Kumar, has been arrested. The Merchant Navy officer regrets having allowed his sister to return to her husband's home despite knowing about incidents of violence and their attempts to stop her.
Feeling guilty to me. If you know your sister is being struggling or harassing by any man before, please take back to home. If she's saying she want to go back also, keep their hands and hold.
The family alleges the son-in-law had wanted this car replaced, even though they had already gifted 800 grams of gold and an acre of land to Vismaya additionally.
എൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ വിഷമം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ വണ്ടിയായിരുന്നു അവർക്ക് കൊടുത്തത്. ഈ വണ്ടി അവന് 6 മാസം വരെ ഒരു കുഴപ്പമില്ലാതെ പോയി. 6 മാസം കഴിഞ്ഞതിന് ശേഷം ഈ വണ്ടി അവന് വേണ്ട, വേറെ വണ്ടി വേണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവന് 10 ലക്ഷം രൂപ കൊടുക്കണം. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു ഇതൊന്നും നടക്കത്തില്ല, എൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ അതിനുള്ള പൈസയില്ല, ഞാൻ CC.
The police will await the autopsy report and examine the doctor to confirm if it was a suicide or murder. They claim there is digital evidence to support a case of dowry death and action would be initiated against the guilty.
There are those who may not use the term dowry but camouflage the entire process as expectation of gifts. Vismaya lays buried here, adding one more number to what may be defined as dowry deaths under the Indian law. With camera person SP Babu, Sneha Koshi for NDTV.
Welcome back. JioPhone Next was announced by Mukesh Ambani at Reliance Industries' 44th annual general meeting. The new Android smartphone has come as a result of partnership between Reliance Jio and Google that was announced last year and was revealed by both Mukesh Ambani and Google head Sundar Pichai.
It is my promise that JioPhone Next will be by far the most affordable smartphone, not just in India, but globally. JioPhone Next.
This is the JioPhone built in collaboration with Google that Reliance will launch on the 10th of September. The price will be announced later. Pitched as the world's most affordable 4G smartphone, the JioPhone Next aims to board 300 million plus users who are currently on feature phones. The JioPhone Next with Google integrates features like language translation, read aloud features into the operating system so that the first-time users don't need to download them.
Built for India, and it'll open up new possibilities for millions of new users who will experience the internet for the very first time. And we can't wait to show you the device later this year.
On the topic of 5G, Mukesh Ambani confirmed that Jio had developed 100% owned intellectual property in the field of 5G. The company has achieved over 1 Gbps download speeds in the testing phase and is ready to deploy 5G for innovative use cases like mobile healthcare.
So Jio is not just working to make India 2G Mukt, but also 5G Yukt.
However, the Reliance stock fell by 2.61%. Reliance Industries had made the stake sale announcement in the year 2019, but the $15 billion deal with Saudi oil giant Aramco was not finalized due to the pandemic. The fossil fuel giant has also announced a 75,000 crore investment over 3 years in solar cells and fuel cell manufacturing, with Mukesh Ambani acknowledging that emissions need to be cut. Being carbon neutral is not enough for the climate crisis. Rubina Mungia, NDTV.
Well, that's a wrap on this bulletin from the entire team. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.